Hello everyone, my name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. It's a beautiful day outside, the birds are chirping, the sun's out, everything is wonderful and shiny, and I'm inside recording reviews for you. We are talking about Rush, All the World's a Stage, because I decided after doing different stages that I had to continue with the live Rush. So, this was recorded at Massey Hall. I have never seen a show in Massey Hall, but I have been to Massey Hall in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Okay, this was recorded at Massey Hall. This album itself was originally released in, what was it, 76? Yeah, 76. This is the Rush remaster from the 90s, I believe it was, late 90s. I have heard the original on vinyl. My family owned it, my dad owned it, my uncle owned it. Okay, like, you're Canadian, you owned it, okay? That's especially if you're a dude. If you're a Canadian man, you owned it, end of story, okay? That's how that works. Now, moving on from there, we get into the actual music on the album. Ignore the cars outside. I'm not shutting the window. It's nice outside and I want to get some fresh air in. Alright. As this album was released in 76, we are talking about basically the first 4 albums are the only albums that are on here. The original album, Rush. Then you got Caress of Steel. Then you've got Fly By Night. And 2112. That's the 4 albums that make this up. Perfect time to release a live album after 4 albums, especially after 2112. Now, one of the things I mentioned when I did the review for different stages is it is the first time that 2112 was ever included in its entirety. And even then it was slightly augmented. But in its entirety for the live performance. This has 2112 on it as well, but it does not have everything on it. It leaves out Discovery, and I believe it leaves out The Oracle, I think. I'd have to go back and double check. So, let's just rip in this. This album's up with Bastille Day, which is just a killer opener. I mean, that just rips right in the album, man. You're off and you're flying right away. High pace, high adrenaline. Great stuff. Great stuff. Then you're on to Anthem. Great song. Great anthem. Absolutely love Anthem. Now at this point, this is pretty heavy off the Fly By Night album so far. And continuing with that, we now get into a medley of Fly By Night, In the Mood. These two always kind of get pushed together. I don't know why they did that, especially back at this time. I like both songs separately. I don't like them together. And Fly By Night is one of those songs that I know a lot of people kind of give Rush grief over Fly By Night. I've heard it. I've heard it from Rush fans even. I love Fly By Night, man. And I know a lot of it is, definitely growing up in the car with my dad as a kid, man. And, he put in the Fly By Night album and just crank it up. And, we sit there sing along to it as it goes. In the Mood, it's a okay tune, but it just not for me. Something for Nothing. It works. It's one of those songs, there's a reason why it's not on the list as much as it used to be anymore. Well, it's no list anymore, but, we miss you, Neil. Lakeside Park. I've been to Lakeside Park. Been there. Done that. Okay. Awesome. Great song. Fun song. One of those songs is a shame it kind of got lost over the years and stopped getting played, but it's understandable. Then we get into 2112. always a great time when it's 2112. I love 2112. Absolutely. You know, to this day, still one of my all-time favorite songs. Sometimes I just want the radio edit, which is just Overture and Temple of Syrinx. Sometimes I want the whole thing. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. What I find interesting is going from 2112 into By-Tor the Snow Dog. Now, we got a stripped down version of 2112, but even the stripped down version is 15 minutes and 45 seconds. And then go from that into By-Tor the Snow Dog, which is 11:57. That's a lot of epicness back to back, you know. And this is one of those reasons why Rush was the type of band that they were. And they had more of a male-dominated audience at the time because big, giant, epic-y things like that do not appeal to the mass female audience. Notice the key choosing of words, okay? I know female Rush fans. I have dated and been in long-term partnerships with female Rush fans. You know, I raised 2 children. One of them is kind of a Rush fan. I don't know if the other one is at all. I don't think the other one is at all. You know, one kid's a female, and it's the female one that I believe is a Rush fan to some degree, and it's my male child that isn't a Rush fan, really. So, you know, on the whole, Rush has a very high male audience, not always high, but high, and a low female audience. Just statistics, nothing by it. Okay, moving on from that political cluster. All right. We're on to the end, and yet we're at another long song because this is 7 minutes and 13 seconds. Good tune. Surprised that it's here and not at the end. Cliches. There to avoid. Okay. Then we get into Working Man Finding My Way. And this is another long one. Now, this is a medley. Finding My Way, I don't... Okay, so this one clocks in at 14:56. Realistically, the reason why is it's Working Man goes into a drum solo, goes into Finding My Way. And they left out the part that the drum solo's in there. And this is why so many dudes own this album, was this drum solo. My second stepdad, Jeff, me and him were talking about this one day, and he remembers when he was a kid, all of him and his buddies, they'd pull out this, they'd pull out Kiss Alive, and they'd fight over Peter Criss's drum solo versus Neil Peart's drum solo on here. They'd go back and forth with the vinyl. Remember this. So they had to pick up the arms and put the arms into the right places and everything, okay? Now, that being said, do I think that the Peter Criss drum solo was anywhere near this? Hell no. Hell to the no. This is way better, man. Nothing against Peter Criss, but Neil Peart. Okay. Listen to both albums. Figure it out for yourself. I will eventually do the Kiss Alive review, and that's going to be a long discussion, I think. Okay. And then finally, the album finishes off with What You're Doing. I'm surprised they chose to finish off the live set with that, or at least on here presented like they finished it off with that. I probably would have went with In the End, as well as I say that cliches are there to avoid. I think the cliche could have worked well in this case, possibly. I also think that ending with 2112 could be a fantastic thing, as well as, you know, it's got that great work and ending, and then you come back with 1 or 2, you know, encores. Working Man. Working Man could have finished this album as well if the drum solo wasn't in it going into Finding My Way. Now, one thing when it comes to this album, I do not know how much of this album is 100% live and how much of this album is possibly studio enhanced. It happened back then. As I mentioned with Kiss Alive, first case of people finding out that live albums were tampered with in studios later. I don't know if this one was or not. I have not heard or read that over the years. Because it is Rush, I want to say no. Because these guys are known for playing it live the exact same way they played on the albums for the most part. And because of that, I really think that if they did do any punch-ins, it was purely due to limitations. It was not due to other stuff, we'll say. But this was also specifically recorded. They knew they were going to record this, so they brought in the recording equipment to record it on this specific night as well, and that also can make a huge difference. They knew what was going on. They had it all preset, stuff like that. So, tough call. It really is a tough call on that one. But do I think that you should own this? If you're a Rush fan, absolutely. If you do not own this already as a Rush fan, you're not really a Rush fan now, are you? If you're just getting into Rush and you're looking for your next Rush album, or you're looking for what you should look into for Rush, depending on what studio albums you've gotten into and what era of Rush you're into could affect what you feel and how you behave towards certain albums. But this particular one, I still think it's a must-have. I think Different Stages is a must-have, but I think this is a must-have as well. You know, it really showcases Rush in a time and period that, you know, we'll never get back again. Okay, folks, those are my thoughts, my views, my opinions. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts, views, and opinions? That is what the comment section is for. On your way down there is a link to Patreon. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, the bell for notifications. If you are on Rumble, then hit the join button and the follow button. I'm not going to make the locals joke today. Peace, love, take care.